Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there. Welcome to New Life Live. So glad that you're with us here today. And joining me in the studio, Dr. Jim Burns. And hi, Jim.
Hey,
how are you?
Steve, good to be with you.
And soon, Dr. Jill Hubbard will be here. We'd like you to be here. And if you want to be here, here's the phone number. It's 1-800-229-3000. Really simple. 1-800-229-3000. I was just telling Jim that it's important for us at New Life too, and we just did it this morning, to review what we do and be sure that it aligns with our mission. A lot of people don't know what our mission is, and here it is. We have three words that make up the process of getting to the three words we're founded on. The three words we're founded on is the word truth, connection, and transformation. But what we do is, and this is a big part of radio, is we try to reach people. You got to reach them before you can impact their lives. And radio's a part of it, and Dr. Jill Hubbard's here, and she's a big part of that reach. In fact, Jill, I was at Newcastle prison on Sunday, and someone mentioned hearing you and me and Henry something like 20 years ago.
Wow.
And it, actually more than that, and it changed his life, changed his marriage. But, so that's our reach part. And then in the reaching, we try to teach people. That's what this program is about and what our intentions are about. And, you know, maybe you hear us talk to someone and you think, oh, I could do that, and or I could try that. And then the other part is the treat part. Those are our intensives where we're really trying to address the specific issue. That's what our coaches do and our therapists do, is to treat whatever the problem is. Now, we all know what the number one desired treatment is for any problem we have, and that is, Jesus, would you take this away from me? That's the one we want. But you know, if Jesus takes it away, you still need to grow. You don't just instantly have great character with something that's not there anymore. And that's what we want to help you do, is grow in character. It's what I'm trying to do for myself. I don't do that very well often. So I have to, change strategies as life goes on to get to a place where I never stop growing. We all have little setbacks here or there, or big ones, and then we get back on track and we grow. That's the goal, grow closer to God. And these two people, Jill and Jim, are part of that teaching part. They do their own treating in different ways, but we're here to try to reach you and hope that you'll then, in turn, reach other people. To that end, we need support, and you can do it easily. All you have to do is text the word MATCH to 28950. $200,000 match is in place. But there's something else we're asking people to match, and that is the faith of those who support this ministry. And that faith has been really sacrificial. If you're on our mailing list, you got an envelope. On the outside, a picture of Indiana Jones, and it says, honoring the faith of Indiana Jones. When we come back from this break, I'll tell you, if you don't get the letter, what it means to honor the faith of Indiana Jones. Sounds sacrilegious, doesn't it? Anyway, when we come back, Jim and Jill are actually going to say things too.
We all have struggled with weight problems all our lives. This involves not only the
health side of it, but the spiritual side of it.
If you're ready to begin a comprehensive plan that provides freedom in every area of your life, New Life's Lose It for Life online intensive can help. This online intensive features Zoom sessions presented by Steve Arterburn and Elena Al-Sharu on Saturday, January 27th. Plus 4 small group process sessions facilitated by a credentialed New Life Network counselor.
Of all the things, the best part for me was the small group time.
If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that addresses the psychological, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a healthy lifestyle, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
It is a life change. It is not a diet. It is not just a plan. It is a life change.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Hello to all. I'm Matthew. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm 16 years old, and I've been listening to New Life Live for about 2 years now. As a teenager, I found myself becoming more and more defiant to my parents, particularly my mom. I really didn't want things to continue like this, as it would destroy my relationship with my mom and my walk with the Lord. One day, when I felt like I just had had enough of my rebellion and defiance, I was sitting on a bench at home, wondering what to do with the broken relationship with my mom, when suddenly I got an inspiration, which I think was from the Lord. It said, "Have you considered talking to New Life Live about this?" And immediately, a light bulb went off in my head. I've called 2 other times before, and I've read several books offered to me by the radio program, so I did. They were kind and helpful to me, as usual. You guys have been doing this for many years, and you have helped thousands of people, and you have helped me. I believe now I can fix the broken pieces little by little. I know that it's impossible to completely fix a broken vase. The wounds will still remain, but I hope that there will be forgiveness waiting on the other side for me. I really hope to glue them back to pieces with time. I want to thank New Life Live from the bottom of my heart for all that they do. I hope to get a job soon, and when I do, I'd like to support your ministry. You guys have helped me very much, and I would like to give back the little I can. And for those parents listening who are going through the same thing with their children, I am proof. I am living proof that wayward children can come back, and that there are still teenagers who want to seek after a more abundant life. God bless.
Well, Matthew.
Wow.
Teenager of the year.
Yeah.
Well, he's so articulate. And
yeah. And we didn't pay him, right?
No, we didn't. But we should. We just go ahead and pay him. That's so good. Well, that is one of the great blessings, is to hear that a teenager stumbles onto us, or the parents force them to listen, and it has some kind of impact there. And Jim, you know how hard it is to reach a teen in any way possible.
Well, you know why I think teens like New Life is because there's integrity and there's authenticity. And kids today are looking for authenticity, and they hear real stories and from people who say, "Hey, I'm not perfect, but here's a thought."
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that there's more kids out there who are listening, and there's more kids out there who are making good decisions. Because they're not going to be the ones who typically are going to call in. They're going to be the ones who are just kind of listening and say, "Hey, that makes sense."
Yeah. Well, thanks to Matthew. And, please help us reach more Matthews and Matthew's parents and folks. And you do that. It's really easy. All you have to do is text the word match to 26950. No, I'm sorry, 28950. 28950. And then you can give, and there's a $200,000 matching fund that will double whatever you give. And it's just wonderful. Or you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we'll take care of it for you that way. But, man, to have any kind of impact on a teenager in this day and age is kind of miraculous, the way social media owns the hearts and minds of so many young people.
And it just proves that God is working. And as I've said before, sometimes as parents, we need to get out of the way.
That's right.
Right? And God will reach our kids. We just may not be the ones to say the words.
Exactly.
Very good. Okay, how about we talk with Ruth Madison? Wisconsin is where she's calling from. She's called us at 1-800-229-3000. Ruth, how you doing today?
I am doing great, and that was so inspiring to hear that call from the teenager. Unfortunately, what I'm going to say is going to be a little bit more complex like that call you had yesterday, but thank you very much, Steve, for taking my call.
Sure.
I would like godly advice on how to humbly and lovingly confront a family member about a very unhealthy situation, and I would like your professional opinion on what would be the best resources and recommendations to share with this couple.
Okay.
I do want to share with you where my heart is coming from. I feel that if Nathan had refused to confront David when the Lord sent him, David may never have been restored to fellowship with God, and the nation of Israel would have suffered. And the situation I'm about to bring up is affecting so many innocent people, and my prayer is for healing and coming out of the darkness, and that my loved ones may be brought back into God's light. And I hope you understand, I'm going to be using biblical names, not the real names, to protect the identities of the family as their extended family, and they could be listeners. But here's the situation.
All right.
I'm discussing a situation that involves my youngest sister's children. My niece, Martha, told me about 8 months ago that her sister, Mary, had been betrayed by her fiancé, David. And just as a little background, Mary and David have been soulmates since high school for 25 years. They've been engaged for over 6 years. They've been living together ever since she finished medical school. They have a 2.5-year-old son. Well, Martha told me 8 months ago she found out that David had been deceiving her sister and had been living with another woman who had passed away. And that's how Martha found out about it, was this obituary where that family said, and her beloved soulmate, and so anyways, the sister found out through an obituary.
Yeah.
And her sister is an ER doctor that works second shift, third shift, and her fiancé works different shifts. So it's very easy that if someone wanted to deceive, that is a business, that you could get away with it. But Martha was so shocked to hear of the betrayal that she did go to see her sister and informed her about this, only to find out that the sister knew about the betrayal and that they were in counseling and she had forgiven him and they were working things out. But Martha was further upset to find out that David had given the sister's little boy the middle name of the deceased woman, which she felt was which was a further insult. But Martha shared with her siblings, meaning her other brothers and sisters, about the betrayal, and they lost great respect for David, and they have felt anger since this betrayal has come out and the deceit that went on for 16 years, because apparently that's how long that other relationship went on.
Okay, so to get to the part where we can help you here.
Okay, here's the other part. Now they just found out there's another woman and there's a child, and my niece that has the 2.5-year-old was trick-or-treating with the other child. They have not told my sister. My sister can't understand why all this fighting is going on. And the one sister said, "You must tell Mom and let her know what's going on." And there's so much friction going on in that family. And I'm in another town.
Okay, so what's the question? What's the big one?
My question to you, the big question is, the Bible specifically talks about the reason we should exhort people, if that needs to be done, humbly and lovingly go to them. Should I stay out of this? Should I just let this deceit continue? It just is heavily on my heart, and my question to you is, as an aunt, should I go to that city and talk to just the two involved, my niece and her fiancé?
That is a great question. Jim's kind of a specialist in deceit. Jim, it really is a serious thing when somebody doesn't just have one example of being attached to or married to an unfaithful person, but there are many instances or several. What do you think?
Yeah.
Should she go and talk with her?
Yeah. Well, you know what? First of all, Ruth, you're a wonderful aunt because you care so much, and I can just feel your care, and that's critical. And obviously, part of that, because of your Christian convictions, is you're going to be praying for her and praying for the situation. Ultimately, you're not going to change it, but God can and God does, and oftentimes God will. I don't know that this is a one conversation deal. And why I say that is to come in and kind of make a big, dramatic confrontation in this particular situation. I mean, it may be better to have a sidebar conversation with your niece. Are you closer to your niece than you are to her fiance?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
it might be.
She's been like a second child to me.
Okay, yeah, understood. I think it would be confrontation can go many ways, but confrontation, the biblical gift of exhortation really means to come alongside and love somebody. So in love, how are you doing with all of this information? I heard you're getting counseling. Is this working? Those kinds of things. And then, there sounds like there's a bomb that you got to drop in terms of the second one that she may know about or may not know about. But I'm not sure that the first one would be too much dramatic, but as much as, could turn into drama. But how are you doing with all of this information? I love you so much. And then see where that goes. And if there's a time then to do it with both, then fine. But you may not be the one who, they are getting counseling, perhaps. And see where that goes. But I might just do it with your niece. That's my thought.
Jill, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking the same thing. Ruth, the deceit, at least a portion of it is out in the open. So I like the idea of talking with her, because my concern would be that if you talk to the two of them, she may say very different things in front of him. Yes. And you may not get her true response, because she is a person that has chosen to forgive, but she's fearful of losing the relationship. And often when there is betrayal, women go into this kind of deer in the headlights where I'll do anything to hold on to the person. Yeah. And so she may be in that state and just trying to accommodate and appease him. So in front of him, you're just going to get a more scripted answer, I think. And if you showed concern and just care, like Jim is saying, how are you doing, niece? Yeah. How can I come alongside you?
Yeah, and now you're being safe. Mm-hmm. Your safety is a big deal to her.
I have a different idea.
Okay,
no, go ahead. So,
the other thing I would say, which probably is going against what Steve here says, I doubt. There's two ways of looking at this biblically. You're very Christ honoring, and I love and adore that, and of course that's wonderful. There are pastors and there are prophets. Prophets come in and say, "Thus saith the Lord." And, prophets got booted out of things too. Sometimes a pastor comes alongside in a loving manner. I think in this situation, she probably knows Scripture and she probably knows that she's made some, choices. I'm not saying you downplay that, but don't come in as a prophet, kind of hardcore. Come in more as a pastor, loving her. And there's a difference.
Shepherding pastor.
Shepherding pastor is a great way.
Not a teaching pastor.
Okay. Now Steve's going to straighten this out.
Ruth, thus saith the Lord. No. Here's an idea. Here's an idea. You do go to that town and you pick the male in the family that you trust the most, that you have the best relationship with, and you go and see the man that is the betraying man, the man who is duplicitous. And you tell this man that you really care about him and you're concerned about him because he's chosen a way to live that not only is very destructive to a lot of people, but it's destructive to him. That somehow he has landed on this life strategy that is just fraught with difficulty, struggle, pain, and there's no reason for it. And you would want to encourage him to come clean. That would be the goal. That everybody hears the truth from him. And then they can make their decision of what to do about it. And I would say to him, but first, there's a thing called surrender, where you're willing to give up something that just doesn't work. Maybe you thought it would, but it doesn't. And then you ask God to help you with the struggle, the mess that's created, the pain. Maybe he'll respond to that. I don't know. It's worth a try.
I came kicking and screaming. The last 24 years have been filled with pain. I was violently molested and raped from the age of 6 to 13. It has changed everything in my life. This weekend for me has been life-altering. I have realized that God does love me, that this is my story, and that's okay for the first time in a long time.
This is Steve Arterburn, and this is the story of a new life. She came kicking and screaming and now has a changed life. You can be part of offering hope to others as you step out in faith by donating to New Life Ministry.
To make your tax-deductible gift, visit newlife.com and click Donate. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. And Jim, you had a question during the break. It was, do you tell the niece? And I was thinking, yeah, you tell the niece that you're on the way to talk with this person when you're really very close, because you don't want the niece to talk you out of it. Because I really do think that probably the least talked to person is the offender, that everybody's doing all this other stuff. And maybe if he really sensed that somebody cared about him, and maybe he's coming to his senses that, man, this really is a difficult way to live, maybe there's some hope there. But I think it's a good question. You don't want the niece angry at you, but you also don't want her to talk you out of a loving, caring conversation with a guy that's hurting a lot of people. That's the thought.
But you also mentioned bringing a guy along, too.
Yeah, I think that that would be a really good idea, having 2 people there, especially another man. Now, I mentioned the faith of Indiana Jones, and what I'm referring to is that the letter that I wrote to everybody, I talked about this verse that faith is the evidence of things hoped for, which makes absolutely no sense. How can faith be the evidence? Well, you never see the evidence of faith until you act in faith. You never see what God promises until you do what he says for him to deliver the promise. And in Malachi, he says, test me on this. You give me what I'm asking for, the first fruits of the things that are developed in your life, and test me and just see if I don't pour out blessing upon blessing. Well, a lot of people have never had blessing upon blessing because they've never actually taken the risk to do something that maybe doesn't make sense other than the fact that it's an act of faith. And so in one of the original Indiana Jones movies, he needs to get to the other side of the canyon. And he's told there's a bridge. You can't see the bridge, and you won't know it's there until you, in faith, step out into what looks like thin air. But when you do it in faith, then the bridge appears. And sure enough, he steps, the bridge appears, he makes it to the other side. So I've used that as the analogy of a lot of us stand on one side of the canyon. God says, hey, there's a blessing here between here and the other side. And we're not willing to take the risk to step out in faith for God. And thus, we don't know what people are talking about when they're talking about blessings from God, because they've never, ever stepped out in faith. So I'm just saying, this is a great time to do something maybe you've never done before. Risk. Maybe it's the risk of a sacrificial gift, not just a gift of whatever's left over. Just see if God doesn't step in and bless you. And the three of us, we have seen people blessed over and over again. Not necessarily with money. If you're wanting to do something with money that gets money back, Las Vegas might be better odds than tithing or something, because it's never the promise of money. Some preachers on TV tell you it's the promise of a pink Cadillac or something like that. No. But the blessings are really beyond anything, according to Ephesians 3:20, beyond anything you could even imagine, you could even think up. That's how much God wants to bless you. But it requires faith. And if you have that kind of faith and you want to support us, you call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or here's that text number. It's 28950. You text the word match, and then you just tell them how much you want to give. Or you can call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or you can even go to the website, newlife.com, or you can do it on the app. Why am I spending so much time talking about this? Because at the end of the year, whatever happens at the end of the year has everything to do with what we're able to do next year. So please help us here. We have a matching fund up to $200,000. We'd sure like to get all of that. And we can do it if you do like Indiana Jones, not using a whip. You just step out into in faith and see the evidence of what you're hoping for. All right, let's go to Julie. Julie has called us on this number, 1-800-229-3000. And you could too, and we'll take your call. Julie listens to KKLA right out there in Southern California. Julie, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing okay. It's difficult sometimes with Jim and Jill. They have their own agenda here, but they're brilliant, so I live with it. But how are you? How could we help, Julie? What's going on?
Okay, I'm trying to word this question, not go on and on, but my husband and I have been married 30 years, and I am not on the family trust. Only the kids are. My daughter, or our daughter, and then his 2 children from a previous marriage are on the trust. And I've seen the trust, maybe 5 years ago and 10 years ago. I didn't think much of it. But then my friends have been telling me, and my brother, who's a banker, why aren't you on the trust? And because he's 78, he's 16 years older than me, tons of health issues. They're saying, well, if something happens to what's going to happen to you? And so I guess my question is, I've been at peace all this time. I really have no reason not to trust him, but is this unusual?
Okay. Yeah, you hear the music. I've got to go to a break. I can't stop it. So glad you called about this. A really great question.
For
Most of my life I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here, and I'm joined by Dr. Jim Burns. Doing Life with Your Adult Children is a book that, well, it's one of his best ever. Jim, don't you have a new book that's coming out or just came out? Or?
I have a book coming out. It's coming out next year on sexual integrity, Student's Guide to Sexual Integrity. I'm going back to writing for kids. I think there's so much that's been happening in the world of sexuality and gender issues and all that. So I came back. The book's done. It's just at editing stage. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, that should do really, really well because it's so needed. And of course, Jill has written many books.
A few.
And The Secrets Women Keep is really a good one.
Still out there.
Yeah, still there. All right, and we're talking with Julie. Julie, have you ever asked this husband of yours, honey, why am I not on that there trust? Have you ever asked that?
Yes, and his answer is, well, that's the way it's always been in our family. That's the way his parents did it. The kids are always on it, not the spouse. And when I press him some more, it's like, why are you badgering these questions? You're going to be taken care of. And I ask, well, how will I be taken care of? You just will. And then he was in a hospital back in May with, heart issues, and there was a commercial on TV for life insurance, and he's quickly getting on, call that number. And I've been told at his age, it's going to be very expensive to insure him, and with all his health issues, it would be difficult to insure.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so doesn't really matter what his family has done all these years, does it?
No, not
Shouldn't matter to you. It obviously matters to him, and it's not serving you well. Like you say, if he had died, where are you in any of this stuff? And you deserve to be there. Let's hear what Jill and Jim are thinking about this.
Well, I can understand, Julie, that, okay, there are family traditions and money gets passed down, and this is not his first marriage. So if first wife were still on the trust, well, that might be problematic for some people. So I understand that line of thinking. But what I don't understand...
He wasn't a wife.
What?
They were just living together. And they were just living together. It wasn't a wife, but he did have two sons with his Anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that clarification. But yeah, he did have 2 children with her, right? And a lot of years. But what I don't understand is, okay, call it something different than a trust. What that he isn't sharing with you how he does plan to take care of you, because he's so much older than you. I think it's a question anybody would want to know. And we women, we're very security minded, and it has nothing to do with being greedy. It's just, am I going to be okay? When you go, am I going to be okay? And what does that look like? Because I will then have to step up and handle what you have handled all these years. And I need to start mentally, preparing for that and knowing how to handle it.
Very, very good there.
Right.
Jim, what are you thinking?
Well, Julie, I think it's time to. You've been married to him for 30 years. I think it's time for you to either get on that trust, and I'm going to tell you what I think about that in a minute, or to at least know how you're going to be taken care of. You've been married for 30 years. I mean, that's a long time. This is not just a quickie here. And I think it's neat that he's taking care of his children. I mean, I really do. However, I think it's important that you get an answer from him. And it's interesting with men who are 78. A lot of men are very filled. They're filled with pride, and they haven't really thought about it. Like for him to almost panic and say, "Hey, you know what? Look at that life insurance policy." That put up a flag for me, meaning maybe he's not taking care of you as much as he's been thinking he has. I wonder if it would be wise for you to go ahead and do you have your own emergency directives and things like that? I'm saying the word wrong.
Medical
directives.
No, I don't.
Yeah. So
No, I'm not prepared to do that
okay.
yet,
So
no.
what I would suggest, here's a thought: do a medical, what do they call it?
Medical directive.
Directive, yes. And it takes 15 minutes, honestly, if you did it really simple. Bring him into it. And actually bring in somebody who has authority with him. It could be an attorney, it could be a pastor, it could be somebody else. And then say, now we really haven't done much in our own relationship. I'd love, and just throw it out there in front of somebody else. Not in a horrible way, but just say, what can we do? Because if you were talking with me as a counselor, I would say, what? How are we taking care of you? And I would become your advocate. And it doesn't mean that you should get everything, probably. What it really means is that you become a part of it. I was telling Jill at the break, my father married another woman after my mom had died 53 years. And he put her as one of the people in the trust. Yeah, so it was the kids and her, rightly so, beautiful. They were married for 13 years. And he let her stay in the house for as long as she wanted to, until she died or until she moved. But the house was even a part of that trust. And I just wonder if there's other ways to do this that would make it better for you.
But what I'm hearing, Julie, is you really have been the wife.
Yeah.
The other person was a relationship,
Yes.
but you have been his wife. And in 30 years, why can you guys not have a conversation about this? That concerns me.
And the research has been
I've
done.
been quiet. Go ahead.
You've been quiet about it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just trust it because I've seen the trust. I didn't think anything. I was like, oh, okay, kids are not great.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking myself, and just then not till friends brought it up, and my brother who's a banker, and I was like, yeah, now I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about it now, and I think now you need to go from thinking to doing something. Now, the research shows that an increase in volume on the part of a man is directly correlated with either deception or just being wrong. And so when he raises his voice, you have to wonder, now, why is that so important that he would be raising his voice at me versus saying, well, darling, after 30 years, I've provided for you in this way and that way, and here's what's going to happen when I die. Because he'd be so happy that he's thought of you and is going to provide for you. Well, that isn't what he did. He's offended that his partner is wondering, where am I in this? Why am I not in this? And the only answer I get is, well, this is the way we've always done it. It doesn't matter. You're asking a very good question. You're concerned.
Right.
And so I think he has taken it out of the nice relationship conversation status and elevated it to, you need to do what Jim and Jill are saying. You need to bring someone in to help you accomplish what needs to be accomplished 5 days ago. And that is that if anything happens, you know exactly how you're going to be taken care of and others, and it's easily facilitated. So I really would go from thinking about it, asking about it, to doing something about it, because I'll guarantee you he's not going to do anything about it.
Well, and Julie, I think that I would tell him that you've just always trusted him and that it hadn't really occurred to you. But you are getting older now yourself, I imagine, and perhaps you've even seen friends go through things, and that I would take responsibility for not being more invested and interested and just, having him handle everything and just kind of blindly trusting. That you realize that back then you probably thought both of you were going to live forever. Mm-hmm. And now you realize that isn't true, and it scares you. I would tell him that you're scared.
Yeah. Hey, I had another thought too. Are your kids at a place where they might be helpful to this?
I've talked to my daughter, and she's like, "Oh, wow!" And I said, "Well, could you find out where the trust is or anything?" She said, "She doesn't. She's only 28, so she's not really caring about that." And then I talked to his younger son, and he's like, "I don't know where the trust is," and he's like 52. But my husband did say that his 52-year-old son is going to be the executor of something, and so he's going to take care of everything, and he's going to give me what he says is he's going to give me some kind of a salary or income from the because he does have my husband has a lot of property.
Well, it's just it's amazing. It's amazing when someone dies how all those little things that have been said are forgotten. Mm-hmm. Everything needs to be written down.
Absolutely.
I'd start calling it a trust list, because I wouldn't trust that anything good is happening for you for whatever reason. And you know what? You've been supporting him 30 years. You've been taking care of stuff he hasn't had to, so he could go earn that money. Half of that money is yours. You're married to him 30 years. That is a long-term marriage. And it's not mean for you to want to have in writing what's right.
Yeah.
And then you can make the decisions, not just expecting a kid to make the decision for you. We'll be back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and I hope and pray that something we do could help you. Well, here's something. Every Man's Battle is January the 12th in Washington, D.C. You could go, start off your year that way, and be a man of integrity the whole year. I'm going to be a man of integrity that whole year. I don't think I've gone a whole year. But anyway, I'm going to do 2024, okay? And then Lose It for Life is January 27th. That's our weight loss program, and we don't encourage you to do anything that you can't do for the rest of your life. And so it works. You keep the weight off. And you also deal with that heavy issue that's putting the weight on. That's the good news. Intimacy in Marriage is February 16, 17, and 18. And one of the great gifts in my life is knowing that people sat down at a table. Everybody was there. Nobody was at a different house because there was no divorce, because they showed us a picture of burning up the divorce papers in a New Life mug. Now, it was a waste of a good mug, but I was glad they sent the picture. Then we have Restore for any woman who has been hurt by a man with no sexual integrity. That's February 23rd. And then Emotional Freedom, one of my favorites, March the 16th. And if you are struggling with guilt, shame, whatever it is, bitterness, anger, that's the one for you. So we have all these intensives, and we have scholarship money to help you. So call us if any of this could make your life better, that you would grow closer to the Lord. Well, we've got time for one more call. If you want to join us on the next program, we're going to be sitting here doing the same thing. 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. And let's go to Janet from Minneapolis, Minnesota. KNDR is the station. Janet, how are you doing today, and how can we help?
I'm well. Thank you for taking my call. And I'm going to try, and it's a long story because it's been going on for a really long time. But so my daughter is now 33, and her dad and I were divorced when she was a year and a half, and her stepdad came into her life when she was 4, and he's still very much part of our lives. He's such a blessing, and I can't say enough about him. You'd never know that she's not biologically his, because he's just an incredible, godly man, and so very blessed for the second time.
Okay.
But
what's the problem?
Her original, my daughter, cyclically, like every year, she gets angry and at me, and she doesn't have any relationship with her dad, and she brings up, I feel like she she plays a victim and gets mad at me for things that I have. If I just knew what I was doing wrong, so that this wouldn't continually happen, but nobody. I've asked so many people, and nobody says what I could do differently. She and I have gone to counseling. I've paid for it. I've gone on my own. I can't even begin to tell you the number of tears I've shed over this, because I don't know how to help her, and or what I could say to do differently.
Is that the question? How to help her?
I need to do something different.
Okay.
So that
let me share this with you. I've told the story, but the other day I was thinking about this memory I had from being 3 years old, sneaking out of my bed on Christmas Eve, seeing my father eat cookies that we left for Santa Claus and drinking milk that we left for Santa Claus. And I still remember my reaction. I can even remember my diapers being changed, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, my thought was this: how could my mother let him eat those cookies? I think so many times that's what our reaction is to something being wrong in the family. That, her dad isn't there, right?
Right.
Well, rather than be angry at him, who's she angry at? You. How could you let that happen? And so then it affects the whole relationship. She resents everything when really it kind of got kicked off by the dad. So I would talk to her about that. I'd say, I just wonder if this phenomena might be happening here because I don't know how to be different. And I really love you and care about you, but there's something here that's far beyond me and our relationship. Jill, what are you thinking?
Well,
and then Jim.
I think that she may not even be aware because,
That's
Janet,
true.
you are the safe person.
Yeah, that's right.
And even though she has a wonderful stepfather, this is nothing against him. And he has probably been quite healing in her life. There's still that missing piece there, right? That perhaps is a rejection in her life. Why doesn't he care about her?
Mm-hmm.
And so she doesn't know what to do with that. So at times she gets annoyed and in a sense rejects you. Right? So she pushes off her feelings onto you because that little thing that just kind of, nudges her that doesn't feel quite right, she can't really make sense of. And so unfortunately, moms often are the dumping ground. And I think sometimes you can't do anything right. It's like when your kid is 1 or 2, and you're trying to say, okay, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you like the peas, the carrots, the sweet potatoes? And they don't want any of it. It's kind of what keeps repeating. And so all you can do at times is say, I'm here for you. What do you need from me right now? How can I help you in this moment?
Jim, a couple of seconds here. What are you thinking?
I think it's so natural for us to personalize it, but I'm going to give you a quote. It's by Martin Luther a long time ago. He said, you can't do anything about the birds going over your head, but you don't want to let them roost on the top of your head. And, this is really her issue. And it sounds like you're very loving. I think their advice is great. But at the same time, you're going to personalize it, your mom. But this is not as much about you as it is about her and her dealing with the loss of her birth father, even though she's fortunate. She has a great father. I don't think you can make it all better. She's an adult.
I think that's one of the best pieces of wisdom right there is that you can't make it all better. And pointing out that it is much more about more than the relationship with you, and tell her you're willing to help her explore what that other and more might be. Well, that'd be valuable. And don't forget that we have all these Christian counselors that, they really do help people to heal a relationship. And so maybe there's some mother-daughter sessions up ahead that could really be helpful to both of you. I'll send you Jill's book, The Secrets Women Keep, and I'll also send you Jim's book, Doing Life with Our Adult Children, because she's almost at that adult stage.
At 33.
How old is she?
Yeah, 33.
Yeah. Oh, I think she is there. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Hey, if you want to join us the next program, 1-800-229-3000. Help us if you can. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or we'll help you. God
Thanks
bless
for
you.
listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.